What's going on, everyone? Just got home from the Lana Del Rabies, God is War, Test Frenzy, Hot Hail show. Pretty interesting show, as some of you may or may not know. That's a weird, that's a weird statement. As some of you may or may not know, kind of includes everybody. Oh yeah. Some of you may know, electronic, like industrial, harsh music has a special spot in my heart. So shows like this are a lot of fun, especially when the bands are still really feeling artistic and expressive and are willing to take risks. And we lose that quickly these days. So the night started. So it was at Substation in Seattle. The night started with Hot Hail, a solo performer, kind of like 90s-ish goth type of vibe. So if just one person there performing, music playing, it was a little bit dancey, a little bit dark, but about what you'd expect from kind of like a solo goth type of act. Maybe dark wave, a little bit in there. So it's a fine start to the night. Not my thing in particular, but it was cool because as the night went on, things got darker and heavier and more intense. So it was nice to start off with something light, kind of like light appetizer before a big meal. And the next band up was Test Frenzy, industrial duo from around Seattle area. I guess they haven't done too many shows together, but they had like an early Ministry vibe, and I definitely appreciated that, kind of in sound and message. Not quite as large industrial as Ministry, but overall felt like a band similar to early Ministry, so that was cool. At first, I didn't really get into them much, but by the end of their set, I was enjoying it quite a bit. So I definitely look forward to seeing them again. But I'd like them to keep the kind of the attitude that they had during the set and not polish it and just call it a day. So up next was God is War. And if you haven't seen God is War before, it's a really interesting set because it's like kind of harsh industrial type stuff, one-man act. But during his set, he's playing fairly disturbing clips, largely of violence in nature. So, like, I don't want to give it away, but so animals engaging in kind of violence as the world is, and then there's some human-centered violence, and he has some really interesting quotes that come up in between video. And so I don't want to give any of that away because it's something that I want you to see and kind of feel for yourself. And I don't know how often he changes it. But, so it's this real weird dynamic of you've got this video playing and these words and these thoughts and this kind of induction of some uncomfortability. And then you have him just kind of going at his set. And it's interesting because you kind of lose sight of him, even though he's moving quite a bit. But the music, as abrasive as it is, it's also kind of secondary to what you're seeing on the screen. And it was really curious how like captivated everybody was by it, because it's not. Well, I won't go into any more. But so we go from this kind of light start to the night to something a little bit more intense, to this thing that was a very uncomfortable weight to bear. And then that brings us to Lana Del Rabies and another solo performer, but pretty performative in that she moved quite a bit, had some props, chain that she was using, I think it was blood, I couldn't really tell. And she went into the crowd a few times, and she was pretty jarring on stage at points. So it was one of those nights that felt good because it was like there was no bullshit there was no, and if you've watched any of my reviews, you know this is something I really like. There was no bullshit. There was no, sorry, I'm using a little grip strength there. Pomp and circumstance. There was no, well, there wasn't any airs of what the night was. It was people expressing and doing something that they loved, and it's just enjoyable. And the people who were at the show were there because they enjoy the music or they wanted to get to know the music. So it felt like there was a kind of purity in a way. I feel like sometimes when you get into this harsh electronic stuff, it's one of the harder genres for people to access. But I think there's something about that makes it really special. So, but take that for what you will. Anyway, it was a cool ass night. I encourage you to catch the tour if you get a chance. Lana Del Rabies and God is War are the tour package. So I'm sure wherever they go, they'll have some really interesting openers. And yeah, just go and kind of lose yourself. But be warned that if you have a hard time with violence, God is War's video may be tough for you. So either turn away or stand outside of the screen, the room if you can, and just listen to the music. But yeah, so until next time, I guess. Take care.